Welcome to Subramani. I spoke about a case some time ago which was filed in the SEC about a company called Atlas, Zach Morris and his company Atlas Trading. Based on that, Twitter person, somebody called Alex Good, has created a thread, and I'm largely reading out from there, and it's a good learning which I think people should have. So if you're not on Twitter or you have not seen this, very unlikely that you would have seen this. So let me just tell you what all Alex says, and it's a fantastic key list of things that should be done based on the filing in the SEC. 1. Non-disclosed dumping. Don't recommend shares which you are actually dumping. That is wrong. I mean, the world is full of people. Please understand, the financial services, what happens is the good people don't get featured, and even when they get featured, people don't watch. Shyam Shekhar and I did a video on Mr. Deepak Parekh. I don't think it has got more than 30,000 views, right? But if I had said best HDFC share to buy, I would have got 3 million views. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to say the good people don't get exposed. It is only the bad people who come to light, and so you think, oh, every guy in the financial service industry is bad. It's not true. So as a financial influencer, don't buy shares and dump it on people who think that you are still holding, right? Step number 1, 2, deleting the deed, removing evidence of your selling the stock, promoted to build trust with the followers. You can't do it, really. I mean, electronically we leave a path, right? So you can go and find out what all a person has done very easily. So don't think you can do it. But people think that, oh, I'll get away with it. SEBI cannot do anything to me, or in this case, SEC can't do anything to me. Completely wrong. Flexing, implying financial advice. That is another beautiful thing. The SEC said even showing off your P&L, showing off your Lamborghinis and Mercedes Benz is financial advice. So you cannot do that. So showing off your wealthy lifestyles or lapping trades to convince people that you have done a great job when you actually may not have even done. You could also be faking it, or you could be actually doing it. You may be buying it to dump it. So you may have bought a share at 10 rupees, at 35 rupees, at 70 rupees, at 92 rupees, at 148, and you could be dumping everything at 270. But you're not telling people that you're dumping it, but you put all those trades saying, I bought it at this price, I bought it at this price, and I'm accumulating, I'm going to hold it for the rest of my life. You have yourself caused the price to go from maybe 10 or 30 to 270 with or without the connivance of the promoter, right? So in these cases, if you dump without telling your people, that's I mean, it's fraud, fairly obvious. You don't require SEC or SEBI to tell you that. 4th, show intent to pump and dump, right? Having a disclaimer and then arguing that I had already said that I may take a position favoring, not favoring. I don't think SEBI or SEC is going to look at it very favorably. You have to be very clear in what you're saying. Then on disclaimers, what you say is the defendants each included in their Twitter account that they were not providing stock recommendations. This is another funny thing. I name 3 great banking stocks and say, oh, these are fantastic banking stocks. I made so much money. I invested since so and so. It is growing at this rate, blah, 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 blah. And saying this is not financial advice. This is just example. It's very difficult. For example, I remember long ago, somebody came and said, look, sir, I bought Tata Power based on what you said. Actually, I had done a lecture in his office for his team, and I had given example of dividend yield on Tata Power when it used to get 7% dividend yield. It was just an example. I was not recommending the share by any stretch of imagination, but he made money in the 2007 boom when Tata Power went up. So here it's very scary because I must have done this session in 2002, 2003 when Ulips were being launched by his company. He was the head of marketing. Then he comes and tells me, sir, that example which you gave me, I bought this and made money. It was so scary because I don't know why he bought it. He bought it just, I had done just an example, and I still don't know whether he sold or whether the Tata Power share fell after that. But at least I'm happy that it was a share like Tata Power. What would have happened if it was a share like Orkay, and I had given that as an example because maybe that was doing well at that time. I don't know the time frames, right? So be careful. What you say is very important, what people hear is very important, right? So for example, when I am doing my lectures, I am very careful to give only American examples. I don't want to give Indian examples and say, oh, you said Tata Power, you said Maruti or something like that. I don't want to be held to that. Like, I have a position, yes, I have a position in Indigo, I have a position in Zomato, but I am not even saying that I will tell you when I am selling. So you have to be very careful. When I give examples, it does not mean anything, and I will obviously give examples from my own portfolio. So be careful about what I say also, right? So don't post your mansions, don't post your cars and things like that. Privately discuss with friends as to what you're going to do on your channel. If I run a channel and I tell my friends, look, tomorrow I'm going to recommend XYZ share, so you should be buying it, or assuming that I have so much of an influence, or I have created a team of 40 people whom you do not know, who will come onto Twitter and say, oh, Subra's chips are the greatest and things like that. We find it very often on Twitter, right? We find people coming and saying, oh, I spoke to Smith Hansen and he's a great advisor, he advised me on cryptocurrency or whatever, right? So you hear these names, you hear these stories. Be careful about what you're hearing. If you are the person telling the stories, be careful that you're not lying, right? And also understand, $100 million is not something easy to make. People make 1 million, 2 million, and let's face it, to make that kind of money, you have to be insanely lucky, or maybe you have a fantastic backing, so that even if you were to go kaput with that share, it won't hurt you. You go and tell people, look, I've taken a 10 crore position. Maybe your net worth is 350 crores, then that 10 crores doesn't matter. So who you are, what is your total picture, when people don't know and they take a position, it's going to hurt you, right? Don't coordinate with others and do this game. You could be tying up with others on Twitter, others on your own channels, right? You create channels and they come and say, oh, Subra, I listened to you and you were fantastic, I heard this, right? You create your own echo chamber, and that echo chamber keeps saying you're good. Then they create their own echo chambers, and all this leads to losses, and you know this is where it is headed. So if you know that it is wrong, don't do it, because at some stage SEBI, SEC, somebody will come and say, look, what you have done is wrong, and so we are collecting all the money that you made, plus we are levying fines, and next 10 years you cannot be a broadcaster, you cannot be in equity markets, you just can't come this side, right? And very importantly, when I give examples, I don't mind giving examples of HDFC Bank, Asian Paints, Reliance, things like that. These are not shares which can get run up because of what I spoke, or even if I create a bunch of 5, 6, 10 people like me, we cannot talk up these shares or bring down these shares. So I'm happy doing that. But if it is a small penny stock, and if I'm talking to you about a company called Andhra Mechanical and Electrical Engineers, you've not India, you've not even heard of this company. I don't even know whether this company exists, but once upon a time it used to, and I've done work with them. It used to be a very good dividend yield stock, and then I think the company just vanished. So you have to understand that penny stock recommendation from any of these people has got to be far more scrutinized than you do. But a big share, well, you might go out of pocket for some time, but you might recover your money. Like you may have bought Reliance at 2,600 and today it's at 2,300, that's still okay. But some of the dump and pump shares could go from 10 to 350, and suddenly you would find that there are just no buyers for it. It is only sellers till it comes back to 10 bucks, or maybe it comes back to 80 bucks or 70 bucks. But in your mind, it is the 350 which is locked in, which is going to create the problem. So be careful about these things, and I thank Alan for making this Twitter post. Thank you.